political face-off over the Sanatan abuse continues. Udyanidhi continues to be defiant. His father also has come out today, and the father says, "You are misunderstanding the comments that have been made by my son." This is yet another abuse by the DMK. It was Udyanidhi Stalin, and now you have another leader who's comparing Sanatan to HIV and to leprosy. So is this a pattern? Are they deliberately trying to stoke hatred against the Sanatan Dharma? There is nationwide anger against back-to-back Hindu abuse, also a demand for apology that continues to grow louder. With just now hours to go, India is counting down to the mega G20 summit in the national capital, all preparations in place. After a power-packed ASEAN summit, the Prime Minister is back in the national capital. All eyes now on the big G20 summit that could be a watershed moment for the country. The Pak Taliban is escalating the attack on the Pakistan army. The question everyone is asking is Pakistan literally now on the brink of a breakup? A very good evening. You're watching the biggest story tonight, and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Our focus is on a lot of things, a lot of politics, remember, that continues to be played. You have India that is hosting the big G20 moment, and all our politicians ideally should have united and spoken as one and stayed as one and given out that message. But instead, what are our politicians doing? Now you have seen all the fracas over the particular invite that is right now on the right of your screens, that read the President of Bharat instead of the President of India. That, remember, is a part of the G20 invite that is going out for a dinner on the 9th. And the opposition continues to believe that there is a sinister design behind all this. They've been saying that when our G20 delegates are going to be here, our guests would be here, why create this unnecessary confusion? On the other side, the BJP says that Article 1 of the Constitution, remember, specifically says Bharat, that is India. So what really is the problem if you use the word Bharat instead of India? They say this is interchangeable. And the BJP alleges that this is an opposition that is running scared of this possible nomenclature that should be popularized. Now, in the middle of all this, you've also heard the INDI alliance that has said that it is only because of their alliance that it goes by the name of INDIA that the government is running scared, and that is the reason why they are so scared of this particular name, that is INDIA. So what has happened now is that the opposition has indicated in as many words, right from a Raghav Chadda of the Aam Aadmi Party to even a Shashi Tharoor of the Congress, who says, and I quote him now, and in fact I'll request our team to put out that tweet if possible on the screens. Now he says, we could of course call ourselves the Alliance for Betterment, Harmony and Responsible Advancement for Tomorrow. That, he says, is the acronym for Bharat. And Shashi Tharoor then goes on to say, then perhaps the ruling party might stop this fatuous game of changing names. So what's in a name, you might ask? And clearly this is a controversy that is not dying down any moment soon. Let's also get in a panel of guests right now on the entire issue that continues to get bigger by the moment. We have Vineet Goenka, who's a political analyst. He leans towards the BJP. Shubh Malhotra is a spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party, and Suman C. Raman is also joining us. Good evening to all of you, and let's begin with Shubh because she represents the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party also, Shubh, much like Shashi Tharoor has said and indicated, that what if we change the name of the alliance that goes by INDIA to Bharat? So are you going in for a name change? The government is not changing the name of the country anytime soon, but is the AAP wanting to change the name of the alliance? Sure.
Well, these questions, they keep on cropping up like anything after each and every meeting of the India Alliance. So after the last meeting, they announced this India versus Bharat debate. After the meeting before that, they announced one nation, one election. The meeting before that of India Alliance, and we've coordinated so well in these meetings. So it's apparent that BJP camp is really threatened and is feeling the nervousness of the upcoming elections, the 5 states elections. It is quite apparent they are staring at loss in at least 3 of them. And in the general elections, they are staring at a huge loss. And which is why, out of nervousness, they are having to do all of this headline management again and again. These are feeble attempts. And which is why I always say, and in fact, India Alliance always says that there should be educated people in the government. See, we can go ahead and change our name to Bharat. But is that going to solve the real problems of this country? I mean, are we not looking at the worst unemployment in recorded history of India? Are we not looking at unprecedented inflation? Is this name change actually going to solve all of these problems? Is it going to solve the problem of corruption in Bharatmala and Ayushman Bharat project, which CAG itself has pointed out? Where is our 5 trillion economy? Where is the doubling of farmers' income? Where are the houses for all? Where are the 2 crore jobs promised every year? So, these are the burning questions that we need to deal with. But unfortunately, because of the uneducated people in the government, we are having to be answerable towards whether we should be India or whether we should be Bharat. So, India, that is Bharat, doesn't belong to BJP. But it belongs to the 140 crore people. Okay. They cannot, at their whims and fancies, just keep on changing and keep on making alterations.
So tell me something. Does the INDI alliance also believe that by having a name INDIA, you can actually garner more votes, that can become a masterstroke for you? Forget about anything else. I mean, you don't raise people's issue, you do not connect with people, you don't have a common agenda, you don't speak in one voice on a lot of issues that matter to the country today. But just by having the name INDIA and now by saying that we can, re-Christian that to Bharat, do you believe that solves everything, Shubh?
See, India has always prided itself in unity in diversity. And even though we are all parties from different parts of the country who have come together with different track records and how we have proven ourselves in different states of the country, we have one agenda only. We have the agenda of Bharat, of improving India. And we have the agenda of joining together, ourselves together, so that we can take our country together and, make our country move away from these problems that have been caused in the time of the Modi government. And let me tell you, I don't understand this hypocrisy on part of the Modi government. In November 2015, well into their tenure, the Modi government's Home Ministry wrote to the Supreme Court saying that the country need not be called Bharat. And in its affidavit, they said that the Article 1 was extensively discussed by the Constituent Assembly before its adoption. And no change in circumstance was needed. So what exactly has changed in 9 years? What has changed? Let me tell you. The worst unemployment,
you can clearly ask that question, but I have just one little question, and I'll give you 5 seconds for that before I get in both Sumant and Vinitji here, who's smiling already. Shubh, tell me something. Do you have a problem with the name Bharat? Yes or no?
Of course not. If my constitution says India, that is Bharat, if my Supreme Court says that India and Bharat are interchangeable, then how can I as a citizen have a problem, or how can India Alliance have a problem? Of course we don't have a problem. We will change our name to Bharat. Then again BJP
then why do you want to change your name?
That now we will remove Bharat.
Why do you want to change the name of your alliance to Bharat now?
No, we don't want to change our name, the name of our alliance. What I want to ask BJP is, why do they want to change the name of the country? Why? I mean, what is the reason? What has happened in these 9 years?
But no one has said that they are changing the name of the country. That's the problem. No. Sure, that is the problem. If you believe that the government has said in as many words they want to change the name of the country, that is not happening. So isn't this fear-mongering or kite flying by the opposition? And part number 2, both Raghav Chadha, Shashi Tharoor have said in as many words that we will now rename the INDI alliance to Bharat. Before I get in Vinitji, Sumant, do you think this works? Whether you call this Bharat or you call this India, we should be proud of both the names, Sumant. Now, who's kite flying?
Neither.
Who do you think is more guilty? Is it the ruling government that says President of Bharat, or is it the opposition that says because we have called ourselves India, that is why they are running scared of us, Sumant?
Okay, two things, Deepthi. India is already Bharat, so you cannot change the name to Bharat. That's what the constitution says. Now, the point really
Correct.
is that neither is there anything official on record that India name is going to be removed, because that is what this renaming effectively means. When you say renaming India as Bharat, you want to remove the name India because the opposition has got that alliance acronym. So neither is that being done, nor is Shashi Tharoor going to, what Shashi Tharoor is suggesting is basically saying, look, if you guys want to play the game, we can also rechristen ourselves as Bharat. Then what will you do? Will you change the name of the country again, remove India, Bharat, and come up with something else, Hindustan? I mean, the absurdity of this is so high that honestly, I mean, if people in different parts of the world were looking at this, they would probably be laughing. I'm very sad. It's very sad that you're going to have a parliamentary session which is going to start in less than a week, where nobody has a clue, including some of the BJP's own people have a clue as to what the agenda is. It's a special parliamentary session. Nobody knows why they are meeting. I mean, what can one say? I mean, I don't want to use words which are strong, but it's extremely sad. This is not the way things should be done. If you're holding a special session, you can't. By the way, the president of Bharat is incorrect.
Vinitji, you want to respond to both the points raised by Shubh and Sumant.
Deepthi, 1 minute, 1 minute. It is
Sumant, complete your point.
President of India or Bharat ke Rashtrapati. It cannot be president of Bharat or India ke Rashtrapati, right? So it's something. It's not. It doesn't work that way. Sorry.
So are you saying if we speak in English, it has to be India, and when you speak in Hindi, that is Bharat? Now, many would contest that. But Vinitji, before I come to you, and I will, I promise that there's a quick breaking update because we are also keeping our eye focused on what's happening vis-a-vis the G20. We are learning that as soon as the Prime Minister has landed in the national capital after the ASEAN summit, he's back at looking at the last-minute preparations for the big G20 summit. Abhishek has more details. Abhishek, we are learning that the Prime Minister has met all ministers.
Well, Deepthi, this is a secretary would be ministers in waiting for the respective leaders of the G20. Typically, as it happens when a head of the state or the head of the government comes, a minister of MOS rank is attached as a minister in waiting to facilitate and for the ease and convenience of the visiting. And all those ministers the ministers of the state who would be acting as ministers in waiting for these dignitaries visiting global leaders, they are there, and the Prime Minister, of course, is taking a briefing himself from the G20 Secretariat about the last-minute preparations and the readiness, etc. And the ministers also being briefed about their responsibilities, what the do's and don'ts and everything. We are also hearing that Prime Minister might take a round of the places where the leaders would be, the Bharat Mandapam, and otherwise also a round of the security situation and arrangements that have been made. Remember, Prime Minister has had hectic 36 hours where he had back-to-back meetings. Yesterday in the evening, he flew out for Indonesia, Jakarta, took a 6-hour flight, landed in Jakarta, 3 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And immediately, if you look at Jakarta time, within, I believe, he was in the meetings. He participated in the ASEAN summit. He participated in the East Asia summit. Apart from that, he had a couple of more meetings. And then immediately on completion, flew back at 11:45 a.m. India time and landed at about 6:30 p.m. India time. And from airport, has launched to the Sushma Swaraj Bhavan in Chanakapuri and is part of the meeting. So just the kind of hectic, demanding schedule he's keeping on himself. But then is going to actually do a last-minute review of preparations and do this summit cycle for the next 48, 72 hours.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's a big, big moment for the country. And a lot of hard work, remember, like Abhishek just underscored, viewers, has gone into creating the Delhi that you're seeing today that has a huge and a beautiful facelift. Also the Bharat Mandapam, where you will be seeing all these delegates, the head of states meeting More images also playing out right now on the right of your screens, and all this happening within minutes of the Prime Minister landing in the national capital after he concludes the ASEAN summit. Abhishek, only for the moment, I thank you for getting us that quick update. And let's go back and find out what really is going to be happening in the next few days. G20, it's a huge moment for the country. There is a special session of the parliament lined up. And in the middle of all this, the opposition has a lot of kite flying to do, and they're really enjoying this. Both Shubh and Sumansi Raman believe that there's a lot of suspense, Vinitji, over the upcoming special session of the parliament. Now, why is it so difficult? And is it unfair to ask the government about the agenda? Because clearly, one thing is clear, Vinitji, this is a special session. There's got to be government business conducted. No zero hour also happening. So why is it unfair for the opposition also to know of the agenda and be prepared about it so that we have a good debate in the parliament?
Dipti, Ram Ram to you, Ram Ram to both the co-panelists who are there right now and all the Bharatwasis who are watching me right now. I heard both the panelists, they're learned people, a lot of good points, and I go back and learn it today. But there are certain points and two poems or sloks which my father quoted from somebody else and taught me. One, Swadeshi Pujate Raja, Vidwan Sarvate Pujate. And secondly, he used to quote Kabir, Poti Pad Pad Mua, Pandit Bahana Koi, Dhai Akar Prem Ka Pade So Pandit Hoy. Now, why did I quote these two particular poems to you is, some people are highly educated, but they are least capable. I'll give you the example. When the entire Delhi was dying in COVID, this highly educated person was crying foul for oxygen. When the entire country was celebrating the visit of President Trump, his counselor was busy murdering an IB officer and he could not attend the funeral or did not go to the family of the IB officer just because he was Hindu and he was killed by a person of his own team who comes from another faith. This is the same chief minister who may be highly educated, but so insensitive, does not visit a Dalit woman who's been raped by one particular community because she's been raped by somebody from another community, which he cannot dare to challenge. And see this educated chief minister, he is always between a council of ministers who are either in jail or bail. Somnath, Bibi ko पीटता है, सिसोदिया जेल में है क्योंकि उसने दलाली ली है, सत्येंद्र क्योंकि हवाला किया है. What an educated person. I hope my children and my generations to come don't get this kind of education. I pray to God I should never have this kind of education. Lanata is people. Number two, let us talk about numbers. Inflation in the period of UPA. I'm not talking about 2013 when it was 10.20%. I'm talking about those years. 2012, let me complete. I never interrupted. I heard everybody laughing. Those who made this kind of comments.
No, sir, but I have limited time and I want to pull you back. I want to pull you back to the special session of the parliament. You would say that all the issues that are mentioned by Sonia Gandhi in that letter that has been written to the Prime Minister, replied by Prahlad Joshi, have already been discussed in the no confidence motion. I take that, sir. But I just have a limited point, sir. I also want to know that when there is an upcoming special session of the parliament for 5 days, should the opposition, should the country not be told that this is the agenda? This is what we'll get our heads together on so that everyone is prepared.
You can interrupt me any number of times. You are most welcome. Your answer.
Yes, sir.
And I'm a simple Bharatvasi. But I'll complete my point and I will never forget. Educated people. They spend 45 rupees on their house. They can throw hundreds of thousands of kids out of the education system just to have fun, so that their numbers on the fictitious schedule are good. I'll tell you, look at the sisters. 9.6 crore sisters got gas in this last 9.5 years. See the happiness which this person has given us. More than 10 crore toilets. You know what the pain of going in open, it will be only understood by uneducated and the poor. This will not be understood by people who stay in ivory towers. And this will not be understood by the people who make crores of rupees by dealing in liquor. This will not be understood by the people who do not understand the bhav of the Bharat. Bharat has bhav, it has emotion. It has millions of years. We are here. This has been here before you could even talk in English. It is there before we could even think about any history. Prehistory, it. So, ma'am, this will not be understood by those people who are educated, but they are not wise. They are not, for lightness. Now, coming to your second question about the special session. Ma'am, please tell me, which government when has declared the agendas of Parliament? Now, if you want to ask this question, you can certainly ask this question to the PIB officer who is there. But let me answer to you some specific question. I get hurt when a novice was just a dynast, son of Stalin, grandson of Karunanidhi, and that's only his qualification. He speaks about my dharma, which has been there for eternal years, which has never disturbed anybody. It has got such a large heart that it allows any philosophy and any religion and any faith to come here and prosper. We never questioned anybody. We enjoy every faith. We never questioned that. And what is this alliance called as INDA? It consists of former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who said the right of the resources is only with minority, first right. So it's a crime to be a majority. Then it is also led by somebody, Sonia Ji, whose UPA said that Ram is fictitious. He's our life. We exist because of Ram.
But,
and you're telling that.
you know,
then it comes
Vinit
back to
I hate to interrupt you, sir. I usually don't do that.
I beg to
But
you, let me complete.
no,
ma'am. Please let me
my
complete.
issue is
30
limited,
more
sir,
seconds,
because
ma'am,
I'm
and
also
then you
running out of
cannot allow
time.
to speak.
If
30
the
more
government
seconds, ma'am.
says that we are
Because it
not
does allow
telling
me,
the agenda of the special session of the parliament, sir, then that's another thing.
Who does not allow Durga image.
Because all this is also what we've heard from the government as the responses were put out, sir, to the no confidence motion. Now, clearly, when something is happening so close on the heels of the upcoming winter elections, sir, and the big battle of 2024, do you believe that the special session of the parliament will set the agenda for 2024, sir? Just yes or no? Vinit ji, only yes or no?
45 करोड़ रुपए खर्चा करते हैं, लेकिन जब बाढ़ आती है दिल्ली में तो एक घर को 45 रुपए नहीं. Dipti ma'am, Bharatiya Janata Party's Mandal Adhyaksh allowed females to come and shit in the house because they should not go out in open. And where was Kejriwal? He was doing picnic in Panchkula.
I've tried asking you that question at least 4 times, but no responses.
Maybe
Okay, we leave it there. So the government wants everyone to keep guessing, Shubh and Dr. Sumant C. Raman, that what's going to be discussed in the special session of the parliament. But I think the onus is also on the opposition to remain informed. If you are going to be fighting the BJP, Shubh, that's important, because the issue that he raised is a Sanatan Dharma issue and the kind of hatred we have seen from a number of opposition leaders and why that becomes a pattern. So I think a lot of interesting stories, they all converge at the big battle of 2024. Only for word of time, Vinit ji, only for word of time. I thank you, Sumant and Shubh, for joining us. We quickly head into a break, but this conversation and a lot more coverage on the big G20 continues when we come back.